This is the Washington Times front page for Thursday, January 26th, 2023. Thanks for joining us. I'm George Gerbo. The U.S. and Germany announced they are sending dozens of advanced tanks to Ukraine to help bolster its defenses for an expected Russian offensive this spring. Jeff Murdoch reports President Biden said the U.S. will send 31 M1 Abrams tanks for the effort. It's a reversal of the administration's stance that the tanks were too difficult for Ukrainian troops to operate and maintain. The U.S. assistance, combined with a similar announcement of 14 Leopard 2 tanks from Germany, combined will give Ukraine the equivalent of 3 tank battalions. Western nations hope the move will change the balance of power on the battlefield, but even though analysts say the tanks could do that, Mike Glenn and Guy Taylor report it will take months for their impact to be felt. Ukrainian forces will need quick training to master the strategic and tactical aspects of the heavy weaponry. With Western officials increasingly aligned with the view that Russia's war in Ukraine is likely to carry on for the long haul, the focus now is on the capabilities that the dozens of U.S. and German tanks could deliver in the coming year. The Department of Homeland Security released more than 1,100 illegal immigrants with criminal records from its detention facilities in December as it sought to make room for a border surge that never materialized. Stephen Dinan reports deportation officers said they were told to stop making arrests and clear space for the impact expected with a change in the pandemic border policy. Immigration and Customs Enforcement said it released 515 migrants with criminal convictions and 641 facing active criminal charges. Ultimately, the Supreme Court ordered the policy, Title 42, to remain in place while it hears and considers arguments. Although illegal border crossings increased, a surge did not materialize. You can read all of these stories at WashingtonTimes.com/front page. You can also find the entire lineup of Washington Times podcasts at WashingtonTimes.com/podcasts. The race for chair of the Republican National Committee has turned into an acrimonious affair that has exposed lingering rifts in the party. Kerry Pickett and Seth McLaughlin report from the RNC's winter meeting, where members say the race, featuring Chair Ronna McDaniel and California Committee member Harmeet Dillon, has triggered infighting that they would prefer to have kept private. Pro-Dillon forces have made the case that the party has grown complacent. They say a robust debate is long overdue for a party that is picking up the pieces of another disappointing election cycle. DirecTV has discontinued carrying the conservative Newsmax network to more than 13 million customers on its satellite and streaming services. DirecTV's decision followed a breakdown in negotiations over rates, Valerie Richardson reports. Newsmax sought cable licensing fees, but DirecTV said its arrangement allowed Newsmax to generate considerable advertising revenue at no cost. Carriage disputes are increasingly common as cable providers struggle to hang on to subscribers while competing with streaming services and other outlets. But DirecTV's decision to dump 2 conservative networks in less than a year drew accusations of bias from some. And finally, the 1792 Exchange has announced its Spotlight report on corporate bias rankings, a list of more than 1,000 corporations graded on the likelihood a company will boycott, divest, or deny services based on views or beliefs. Valerie Richardson reports the conservative organization rates companies as high risk, medium risk, and lower risk based on their propensity to deny service or force ideological compromise based on political and religious views. Conservatives have become concerned about losing access to financial services, contracts, and vendors with the rise of environmental, social, and corporate governance standards to screen investments and investors. Find all of today's front page stories at WashingtonTimes.com/front page or the Washington Times app, and find us wherever you get your podcasts. Just search Washington Times in any major podcast app. You can also find us on Twitter and Instagram at Wash Times for breaking news, sports, commentary, and more. For the Washington Times, I'm George Gerbo.